Hey, yo, what's up, guys? So I have Paulie here. He just made, I believe, top 64 at the NAWCQ. So he's gonna be showcasing what deck he played. All right, Paulie, I'll let you take it off, and of course, any shouts before you start as well.
Yeah, shout out to my team, Luxury. Obviously, shout out to Hani especially. We tested like a ton for this event. He bubbled. That's like it sucks because we were hoping we both would do well, but Hani for sure. The team. Yeah, all my friends who support me. Especially Brad. I do a ton of testing with him. Brad, Hani, Tali, all my other friends. So all right. Um,
It's great. Okay,
Good to
now
go.
let's jump right into the profile. So Paulie's here, and he's gonna showcase you guys his deck and the card choices, and I'll let him take it off and explain exactly what he played, why he played, and all that good stuff, so you guys don't have to hear me. But Paulie, the floor is yours.
All right. So I played Based. No, I'm just kidding. I played Based revamped. 60 card Dragonlink, Punk Adventure, all the good stuff. All the good stuff in one deck. Once again. So 3 Enchantress, Griffin, Standard, Rocks Rose, Red Rose, the greats. 3 Tracer because it's 60 cards. If you play like 40, 45, you just play 2. 3 in this build. 2 Synchron. The main function of Synchron in this deck is just to make hot red. You usually bring it back with Borderland at the end after you summon off Tracer or whatever. You don't really need to. You don't really use the normal summon effect much, but like sometimes you just need another name for Tracer, so sometimes it comes up. It's one of the main scenarios. On Recharger, obviously to make your 8s. We got our babies for the Chaos Space Engine. These are great. Like some yeah, okay. 2 Abster Router. Router, some people only play 1, but again, like it's 60, so it's like you want some of the additional cards to be like combo pieces so that you don't like mess up the ratios in the deck. So like you just want a couple more copies of like this is good with like Adventure. You can ditch it and search Tracer. More copies of Tracer basically. Um, 1 Destrudo. This is your second Ravine target. You need it so that if you already accessed Router, you have another target for Ravine. That's an extender. 1/1/1 for the punks. So these are like great. The punk engine is great. So right before they got started, literally 10 minutes before I submitted my list, I was debating whether or not to cut these. Um, I like there's hands where Telly is an extender that also eats a hand trap, or it's like double extender. Telly's just insane. But like these are all not great to open. So like Zeman's the best one because like obviously like it's sort of like a starter. You can just still like search Foxy, but like that it conflicts with right and like yeah, and then like these two, um are really bad to draw. Like Foxy's okay because like you summon this, and then sometimes you can search your note and tribute summon it. Like you actually tribute summon this a decent amount, but like generally don't want to do that. So like it's not great. So really like this is just like one extender. It's just like it's actually a -1. It's an extender that costs a card and doesn't always get net you anything else. Like I said, unless you tribute summon Deer Note. And then Deer Note's just like a complete hard brick to draw. So I almost thought about cutting the engine just because like I wasn't sure if I wanted 2 bricks in the deck basically to play 3 like tellies, but throughout the tournament, the Tally engine ended up just being insane. Like, just it resolved so much. Like the early ruler into Hulk play just resolved so much. And like in this deck, unlike the Punk Adventure like Scythe decks, where like the ruler Hulk play is like your entire play. Like unlike those decks, in this deck, like that's just the beginning. And then like you still have like the entire like dragon engine to go into. So the ceiling is just super high. And like yeah, these were just really good throughout the weekend. Okay. Snow, because like you send it off Riser. I tried this out going second a lot, although it's iffy because like you actually like want it sometimes going second because of crossout. You rarely send it like it rarely like is relevant to like send off Riser to like, have it for turn 3. Like if you get to Riser going second, resolving Red Rose, like you usually win those games anyway, so you don't need it. So that's why I've been siding this out going second. But like I've had multiple games come up recently where like it did come up for crossout going second, so I'm iffy on that. But then if you are keeping this in, like copies of crossout are usually what you have to side out in order to like side everything in that you need to. So it's weird. But anyway, for hand traps, so the deck played 16 hand traps in the main. So it's 3 Ash, 3 Ogre, 3 Veiler, 3 Nib, 3 Gammy, 1 Driver, and Imperm. So basically, like we're playing cross out once again. So we're playing 1 Imperm, just like the original base deck I played earlier in the year. 1 Imperm. And then Ogre is really good again because Adventure is like super popular and like also against like any version of like the Scythe decks or the Calamity decks, like just ogring the Hulk, like that physically turns off the most integral part of their combo. Like they can't pop their Scythe. So just like destroying the Hulk can be really big. Um this card's not great against Despia. Sometimes using it on Aliber can like make it the Chimera play awkward for them. So like it has some applications against Despia, but it's not great. But like overall, it's just a really good card. You want like light hand traps so that you can to hit off ruler. So like there's basically 9 main hand traps that you have to like hit off ruler, and like that's a big part of the combo that like is what allows you to like play through like dark ruler and droplets. Is just like hitting one of these off ruler on turn 1. Um, yeah, it's 16. The ratios are actually insane. Like there were so many games where like I just drew 2 hand traps going second, and like what I like about 60 over 40, to be honest, like in general, I am just very biased towards 60 card decks. I really like the fact that like you're much less likely to see 2 of the same name. Like, it deals with the issue of just drawing 2 of the same, like, hard OPT card, like, very well. That's what I feel like is so good about 60. And, like, especially hand traps, it's like you rarely open, like, 2 of the same one. So, like, your hand trap combinations going second, I honestly feel like if you're playing the right amount of hand traps, your ratios are just better in 60 than in 40. Like, you're more likely to see, like, 2 that line up well together going second, like, than you are in a 40 card deck.
60 card god, eh? Oh, Paulie's
So
insane.
yeah, we had to run it back. So yeah, so that's it for the monsters and stuff. 3 right. This card's insane. Like sometimes when you're testing, the adventure engine just feels so bricky, and you're just like, oh, like do I really want to play an adventure deck? Sometimes you're just like, I would rather just play a deck that just doesn't inherently have those bricks. But then like you just go to a tournament, and it's just like there's so many games you win by just resolving right, and it's just such a high impact card because you get so much value off one card. I feel like playing an adventure deck was just like correct for this tournament. Like again, like there are a lot of like really good players I know like who I know played Despia and like just did decent, but like didn't just fell short of top cut. And like that was the deck that I was strongly considering playing. Like going into the event was the going second Despia deck. It was between this and that for me. And I honestly felt like that was like the best choice. But like this was the deck I had spent the most time testing with, and like I knew I would play the best. So that was why I went with this. But like in hindsight, the Despia players ended up I feel like underperforming almost. So I almost think like this was just the correct choice. Like the adventure engine is just so good. Um, but yeah, so yeah, 3 right, adventure, Draco back, 3 quick lunge. The deck just has like a ton of like really good just like power spell extenders. 3 quick lunge, 3 space, 3 telly. Space alone is like it feels awkward because you don't see a tuner, but like you still have built in like full combo. Like you just go like like striker search, summon the second baby, make like Romulus. Ravine gets you your tuner, and you can still do like a hot combo. It's like not great if you don't see adventure because like you can't make like Baron if you do that play. But there's like that was one of the big issues with the deck was like if you don't open and resolve like adventure, then like there's no way for the deck to play through Nib really. I don't play spheres, and like even if you do play spheres, I feel like it's just like you just lose to Nib anyway. That's why I didn't play it. Um, which is why we played another card to fix that problem. And my favorite card, as I've already mentioned so far in the profile, free crossout designator. This is like with between this and right and enchanters, you now have 9 ways to deal with Nib. Essentially, there's 9 cards in your deck that counter Nib. So like yeah, that kind of is what fixed the problem that, in my opinion, the Dragon deck has, which is like not being able to play around Nib if you don't see right. Like this just gives you 3 more copies. And like yes, you're playing 60 to play this, but like to be honest, even if I was playing like a 50 card build, I would just put 3 Crosso in like any build I had. Like you'd have to play at least 1 Ogre and like maybe like 1 Imprim or 1 Droll, but like I love this card. As long as like Adventure is still in the format, it also like can always double as like a trap card if you just need to set it and resolve it on right, which always comes up throughout the tournament. At every event so far. 1 boot, 1 ravine, the one of Basil Shoot, Call by Foolish. Not much to say about those. Yeah. So that's it for the main deck. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I thought about playing less cards. I thought about cutting the entire Punk engine, like I said, and just playing like 54 or something like that, or 53 without the Imprim. But no, I was very, very happy with how the deck ended up performing.
Yeah. Let's see your you want to go over the side deck or the extra deck first?
I will do the extra deck because it's
All right.
pretty standard. So yeah, my tokens. Hani was like, "Oh, you have like the exact tokens you need for the deck," and I was like, "Yeah, why not?" All right. Striker, Pisty, Huck, Rom, Triple Burst, Unicorn, Access Code, Borland, IP, Dark Charmer, Riser, Savage, Chaos Ruler, Hot Red, and Baron. Okay, so talk about the extra just briefly. These are like this is like the flex spot in my opinion. This is the card you use the most. I'm sorry, the least. misspoke. This is the card you use the least. You don't really ever like need it except for specifically in the Despia matchup because like you're ending on all these cool stops like Hot Red, Savage, Borderland, Hand Trap, Snow, like all this stuff, right? But like if they're playing Alba, you know, the Dragon Contact Fusion, and they just go set Fallen of Albaz, you lose the duel. So like you kind of almost have to, if you know you're playing Despia, like even if you don't know if they're running it, like you have to assume they are, and you have to try to end on IP just so you can, if they set a monster or summon Albaz, you can just IP go into Unicorn and like clear it because there's no like the deck ends on a lot of hard stops but lacks in like physical removal, and this is the only piece of physical removal you can like actually end on. So that's why this kind of needed. It didn't come up for me in the tournament, but I think I only made this like once. But yeah, that's why that's there. The other option for the 15th spot would be like I was playing Appo. Like there's some Dragon players who I respect who are like who love Appo in this deck. That's like another way to like I said, like there's an issue with like Nib for the deck. So like that's another way you can kind of like play around Nib is like throw down an Appo mid combo when people like generally won't expect that because it's not commonly played in the deck. But like that's the other card that you would play as your 15th. You could also cut like this potentially. I didn't make this that much this weekend, but like as we all know, like when Dark comes up, it comes up, and it's like it can be like really clutch randomly. So I like that. I'd probably keep the extract the same. Yeah, and then like some people don't play Hot Red too. That's weird to me. This is like part of like the main combo in my opinion. Like I make this almost every game because like to make like this and this takes four pieces at the end, whereas like to make this and this only takes three. Like you only need one additional piece at the end to like turn this into this. So it synergizes a lot better with like just the ways you can like make Lend, bring this back, bring back Rocket Synchron off Lend, make Hot Red. It's very easy compared to like making Savage after making Chaos Ruler. So yeah, wouldn't change the extra deck. And then the side deck. Okay, so I'll keep these like the only fun card I played is right there. Okay, so for your additional going second cards, we have 3 Droll, 3 Droplet. Like I said, there is 16 hand traps in the main, so like post side you can have up to 22 potentially. Droll's not good in all matchups, obviously. I'm not like a huge fan of this card. Like some people mained it for this event in various decks. I'm not a fan of maining this card. I think like the reason why Droll is conceptually worse than all other hand traps in one area is it's the worst hand trap to draw as your 6th card. Like, no one likes drawing a hand trap as their 6th card, obviously, but like, if you have to draw one, any other hand trap can at least be used on turn 3. Droll, if you draw it as your 6th card, is generally going to be extremely, like, not utile on turn 3 because, like, you know, generally a deck has resolved all of its searches on turn 1. So that's why, like, Droll is, like, I think a lot of players, like, realize when they play this card that, like, it just feels so bad to draw as your 6th card, and like that's why this card just feels so bad. But it's a great hand trap, specifically against Drytron and Despia, which I currently believe are the 2 highest ceiling decks in the game. Despia obviously has the Ash problem, which is why like I feel like that's probably why it underperformed this weekend. But like I still think Despia is the highest ceiling deck in the game, and you need to respect it. So it's also this deck's worst matchup. The deck actually has a bad matchup against Despia. Specifically because you cannot play through the standard Despia turn 1 board of like Mirror Jade, Chimera, Mirror Jade with Engine. You have to see non-Engine to beat Despia going second. And in general in Yu-Gi-Oh, like if you ever have a matchup where you're finding like your Engine can't beat their Engine, and you're like, oh, but like I can just play such and such or side such and such, like you're inherently doing a losing battle, and like it's generally like inherently incorrect deck to play if like you just find if your Engine can't beat their Engine against like one of the most popular decks. Fortunately Despia was like not super prevalent. And Dragon also just has like a really good engine. But yeah, this helps fix the problem. So 3 Droplet, great in a lot of matchups. Obviously. All right. For the remaining side cards, it was 1 Token Collector. I feel like Sword Soul like wasn't being played. Like there were enough other decks right now that have been really like seeing play that like I don't think it's correct to side 3 of this right now. Just because Sword Soul is like I would say like 3rd or 4th most popular deck. That was my opinion. Might have been incorrect given that Sword Soul won the event and was very popular, so maybe could have cited more, but I was happy with everything else I cited, so I would keep this at 1. It's just for Riser. 2 Cosmic. I generally don't respect back row decks. My base deck from February only had like 3, I think 3 Cosmic was the only pieces of spell and trap move I cited. This time I only cited 2. Fortunately, I did not see any trap decks. I like this card in particular because like it can double as like a going second card against the Scythe decks. It's like, yeah, that's why like I don't mind citing this particular piece of spell and trap move because it's good against Scythe. And then we have another counter card for Scythe, which is Scythe for Crossout. So like going second against the Scythe deck, we just have like a bunch of counters. Even though I think I only played like 1 or 2 Scythe decks. But now the reason why we're playing 1 Scythe with 3 Crossout, which is incorrect if you were just going to randomly side one for crossout. The reason why we're doing it is because I cited free artifacts sanctum. This was like the only like sort of piece of spice I guess I played this weekend. Because most people are citing like fragrance and or barrier as their go first cards. This card's insane. This card is way better than like barrier. This card is like, in my opinion, better than fragrance right now. Fragrance only hits like half the decks in the meta. Like it's great against Drytron, it's great against Despia, obviously it's great against Sky Striker, and it's great against Dragon. Fun fact, fragrance like destroys this deck. But like against Sword Soul and the Scythe decks, there's only I think like 6 spells in each in the main deck that like fragrance actually hits. And at that point, if you're just like taking a 1-for-1 on a fragrance, that's just it's incorrect because fragrance ends up hurting your deck so much on turn 3 that like you don't want to end up in a grind, or you don't want to end up in a grind game where like you're trying to top deck and you just draw a spell with fragrance up. So like fragrance is iffy in this deck to side. So I realized like this was just like the best go first card because barrier, as we know, like doesn't hit all the matchups. It's not great against like any of the like adventure decks because they can like flex between like synchros and links, right? So it's only for like Sword Soul and Deathby that's really good against. So like barrier and fragrance both hit like some of the matchups, but not all of them. Whereas Sanctum literally just skips a turn against pretty much whatever deck you're playing against, except for like literally like sometimes the right time. There's like one other deck too, but I can't think of it. I think it's like maybe it's like Eldritch, I don't know. But yeah, this card was I won like 3 games just like as soon as I flipped this card, like opponent just scooped like 3 times throughout the weekend. In my top 64 match, I hard drew Scythe, and I literally just like if you draw it, you can ditch it off adventure, make Baron, and then next turn just tag Baron out for it. I did that in top 64. My end board was like Borland, Hot Red, Snow Engrave, Valor in hand, Baron into Scythe in top 64 game 3. That was insane. This package was awesome. And then lastly, I also played 2 fragrance. I felt fragrance was the second best go first choice. Like I said, it's great against Despia, the Mirror, like Drytron, Striker, all like matchups that can be scary. So like, yeah, I didn't. I think like 5 go first cards is correct in my opinion. Like I don't want to see like multiples of these. I guess 1/1 is good if you see like a good hand with it. But like you could potentially, if you throw like 1/1 and then like a weak hand, you could end up in a grind game where you just like end up fragrance locked. So I only want to see like 1 of these cards each game going first. So that's why I went with 2 fragrance instead of 3. Only thing I would change on the side would be possibly playing a third, but like just because of like certain matchups, it's so good against like Despian Striker. But yeah, I wouldn't want to cut anything else from the side. I was very, very happy with how the deck performed, how it was built. And yeah, that's it. Just I guess real quick, like for map. Oh yeah, in the top 64, just to end that story. After I ended on Hot Red, Borland, Scythe, Snow, Valor, he activated Mystic Mine, and I lost because that beat every single one of those, and I had no outs in my deck. So that's how I got knocked out of the tournament. But I didn't lose any matches up until top 64. I got 3 draws in Swiss. I went 8-0-3. All 3 of those matches, like if there were like 5 more minutes, I'm very confident I could have won. Like 2 of them, my opponent just like either bricked or was passing, and I was just gonna crack their board. So like the deck just performed really well. 40-minute rounds are really rough. Like I find myself in particular, like I have trouble like playing quickly under pressure when time is running low. So like it is what it is. I missed like 45-minute rounds were awesome for the YCSs. I hope they reinstitute that. But yeah. So other than 40-minute rounds was the roughest part of the weekend.
Yeah, 100%. Well, anyways, thanks again so much, Paulie, for the profile, and congratulations to on your performance. Keep it up, bro. You've been killing it. Can't wait to see you do well at more events in the future. Anyways, guys, it's Pack here. We're signing out.